everyone, welcome to another Shimwrecker review. Today we are going to be looking at Roto Grip's MVP Attitude. Released a couple months back in their HP2 line and now sits alongside the MVP Pearl in that product line. The cover is VTC H20 Hybrid. Feels around R2S solid strength-wise. Comes sanded at 3000 grit from the factory. And it's got the same kind of heavy rolling but higher RG core. Comes at a 2.55 RG and a 0.040 differential in 14 through 16 pounds. It's kind of in the same ballpark strength-wise as an IQ Tour Solid to my eye, but the shape is very different, as you can see here. I've been testing on the fresh house shot at Village Lanes over in Durham, North Carolina. It's important to note too, I laid my MVP Attitude out pinned down. So its layout is 4.5 by 4.5 by 4. And this puts the pin below my middle finger, kicks the CG a little bit, which doesn't really matter. I set this ball up to be a little more of like a heavy rolling control-oriented piece that won't see the front part of the lane as much as a big sanded ASIM, like say a Proton Physics is coming out in a couple of weeks. And so what I get out of this ball is this really smooth, tumbly type of control piece, but that can still get through the pins whether I'm playing straighter or whether I'm playing further left. It's really kind of this, it's an odd ball, honestly, with how I set it up. And I kind of set it up with that in mind, to be an offset from something like an IQ Tour Solid from a shape perspective, but be in that same ballpark strength-wise. And it's worked out very well for that. You can also see, though, if you've seen videos for the MVP or MVP Pearl, it looks very, very familiar to those two balls, shape-wise. It's this really like heavy rolling shape that kind of continues through the pins really well, but doesn't jump too much, at least in this application. And so then the logical comparison here is to look at the other current stablemate, and that's the MVP Pearl. It's important to note that there is a difference both in cover stock. Pearl versus Hybrid is essentially the same base formulation. Surface, the Pearl is shiny, the Attitude is sanded, and layout, MVP Pearl is pin up and the Attitude is pinned down. So from that, I'm expecting my MVP Pearl to be a lot more responsive down lane, cover more boards off the spot, so once it starts hooking, it'll be a bigger directional change, but also not hook as early as the MVP Attitude, since the cover is going to be a lot cleaner. And as you can see here, looking at some comparison shots, the difference is pretty much exactly as I expected. I'm able to throw my MVP Pearl at the spot a little bit harder and a little bit more and still have it recover. And it is definitely a lot more dynamic off the spot. It's steeper through the pins. It's more directional change. I can get it back from further left more consistently. The flip side of this is it is a little more jumpy and, you know, borderline too much overreaction off of friction. So you can see where the Attitude is blending that friction response out. The Pearl is jumping off of the friction spot down lane. So they actually key off of each other very, very well. If you want to stay in this shape, then the Attitude and the Pearl should make a really good 1-2 punch for your league bag. So that is the MVP Attitude for you. Mine is in the goes everywhere category. It's not necessarily something I'm going to take in with me all the time to a tournament, but when everything else just isn't really working and I need to be able to control the pocket but still have a chance to, you know, drive through the pins and create a few extra hits, the Attitude is really, really good for that. It's a very fun ball to throw. I know Roto's got a history of making some of the best fun per dollar balls on the market, and I think the Attitude is one of the best in that regard. And it's also proven itself with some really big scores. So if you have any questions, let me know. This ball is available now from your local pro shop. Good luck and good bowling.